Hey guys, this is Jon
and Austin.
Welcome to another episode of the Meatgistics podcast. This is the food episode, apparently. I've got sausage, I've got shrimp, I've got jerky.
Can we really say that that's jerky?
You can't say it's jerky, but we said a long time ago if we saw it, we would try it again if it's could find it in whatever it is that you hate, teriyaki. So this is original.
So it's the same, it's just not teriyaki?
100% the same, it's just not teriyaki. No, we both said the texture was pretty good. So what we're talking about for those just listening or who haven't joined us in the past is Beyond Meat makes a jerky. We taste tested it. It's plant-based. We taste tested it a couple months ago. It was a teriyaki version. Texture was pretty good. Taste was almost not edible.
I'm pretty sure we both spit that out.
I'm pretty sure we did too.
Yeah.
Which is unusual for me. For you, not that strange.
I've had a weak stomach lately.
You have?
I don't know why.
Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant?
That would explain a lot.
But constant cravings.
But I hope not.
The wanting to eat everything. Okay, another thing we've been talking about food is our new Zesty citrus garlic Mojo seasoning. This is a custom blend that we had Excalibur reduced just for us. You're not going to find this anywhere else. I told Austin a couple of weeks ago that every week I would have a different protein for him in this seasoning, and today is shrimp. Now, a couple of things. Those ones look kind of sad. They went on the side sear box, and they got kind of left there a little bit too long.
Yeah, some of the bamboo skewers look like they got a little charred.
Little charred. They're still not bad. They're good. But I also wanted to sous vide some shrimp. So these sous vide at 140-ish degrees. So let's eat those. So this was all of our citrus mojo seasoning on it.
And while they eat, this is my chance to remind you, if you're here for the first time, like, comment, subscribe, leave a nice comment. Tell us how much you like or loathe the channel. I'll read it. And if it's that bad, I'll remove it. So
that's amazing on seafood.
That's incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
It's absolutely incredible on seafood. I love this seasoning. We've brought up a good child together. This is
that's one way to put it.
So, because my episode with Travis on the flush is going to come out before this, so your father won't hear it. I was on Travis's podcast, The Flush, the other day, and he introduced me. He goes, and today we've got with us John Walton. Nope. And I immediately jumped in. I go, yes. No. Yes, you had it right the first time. But yeah, so I'm on episode of The Flush that should be coming out either today, which is Wednesday, or Thursday. It's when he normally releases episodes. So it was a good time. I also had to apologize to your father because he was on, I'm pretty sure it was with Travis, right when we started the summer sale. And I was like, he stopped by. He's like, what do you want me to talk about? I was like, literally just the summer sale. Like, that is the number one thing. And he came back laughing after. He goes, yeah, we didn't talk about it at all. I was like, oh, great. But I wasn't until the last 5 minutes where I was like, oh God, I got to talk about that. And I figured out what it is. Travis has everything so well. Like, I want to talk about this, then I want to talk about this and this and this. And we're not used to that because we're like, well, let's try some food and see what we think.
Yeah, he's a little more organized than we are, probably.
Yeah, I would say so. He did invite me again to go up muskie fishing with him. So I was talking to my wife last night. He was saying during the podcast, I don't remember what brought it up, but he's like, the way your brain works with food is just ridiculous. So it's either at the end of the podcast or it's off the podcast. We were talking about that. And he said, I'll look through some phases of the moon. That'll be good. I was like, dude, who does that? I'm like, and he goes, well, our brains work weird. So I was like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't get together. That might be a bad thing. But yeah, no, I'm thinking sometime in September, I'm going to go up there, fly up for a day or two and do some fishing.
Yeah, I want to know how big a one you can catch.
It's been so long since I've caught anything bigger than just I don't even consider a catfish. That's not a sport fish at all. Largemouth bass is fun, but they don't fight like a big smallmouth or a muskie so I'm itching to do that.
Yeah, muskie fight and they're freaking huge.
And teeth. I mean, they have everything you want in an opponent.
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on the podcast before. But going up north to fish was the first time I had fished for anything besides just largemouth bass. I hadn't even fished for hardly anything else around Kansas at all. It's just largemouth bass.
That's what you go for.
That's what I went for.
Yep.
And seeing the first northern pike and muskie, it just blows your mind that thing is actually living down there, and the amount of fight from it. The first pike we caught, when I was fighting to bring it in, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is huge. We get it in and we're like, this is ginormous. It was, I don't know.
Right. 18 inches, somewhere around that. Yep.
2 feet or less, but it was big compared to what I was used to catching here. We look at it and it's got razor sharp teeth, and we're just in awe and freaked out. 10 minutes later, we're going, that was a small fish. That thing wasn't so scary. There's bigger ones out here. Oh,
yes. Yep. I've told the story in the past. I won't tell it all, but my friend's father, who was a diver for the New York State Police, he was doing the search, and he passed what he thought was a log, doing a circle search 3 times. He's like, why is that log still in my way? And it was just an enormous pike that was just floating at the bottom of the water, and happened to keep coming across his path.
That's great.
So they get big up in the Finger Lakes. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyways, okay. Let's go ahead and try the Beyond Meat.
Bracing for impact.
Oh, it smells terrible.
Don't do it.
Oh, it smells terrible.
I'm not even going to smell it before I taste it.
That's a good call.
I need to stay away from the package.
That's not good. Also, he had a much different experience with snake than we did.
That looks very unappetizing.
Looks terrible.
It's...
Oh, no.
I got to hold it far enough away so I can't smell it. That looks like mushed up dog food.
All right. Bonus points for being able to consume the entire thing.
Who's got a bigger piece?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just take a bite. You can just take a big bite out of that.
Okay.
Again, the texture is okay. I do not like the flavor at all. At all.
Not a fan of the flavor, but I can deal with this one in my mouth.
I would rather have the other one.
Yeah, you're probably going to sit there chewing on it for the longest time.
What is in it? It says no GMO, no soy, no gluten. So is it like pea? Tastes like peas.
Pea protein.
Disgusting.
Oh, by the way, someone made the funniest comment on Meatgistics. I was curious if you read it or not. I think it was Herbco Food, or I'm sorry if I'm getting his name wrong, but he's always commented. And he said, he goes, it's hilarious. The guy that hates mashed potatoes but loves cold French fries. Like, what? How does that work?
Like I said, it doesn't have to make sense up here.
Oh,
it's just the way it goes.
I don't know. I don't know what final thoughts are on it. Texture's not horrible. Flavor's just not good.
Yeah,
but it's not. To me, it's not really bad. It's just not good.
You don't have shorts on.
Yeah,
shorts are the way to go here.
I know, it's been a day.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't think it's the seasoning that's the problem. I think it's the protein. I can taste that pea protein taste, and I hate that flavor.
Which, yeah, I get. And if I think about it, I can taste it, but I don't. It doesn't pop right off the bat to me. And I hate peas. Peas are almost. We've talked about how much I hate celery. Mm-hmm. Peas are a close second.
Okay.
To celery is just whatever flavor in there does something bad to my taste buds, and it just doesn't like it. Peas are very similar.
What about sugar snap peas? Those are the ones in the pod.
Not as bad.
Oh, you still don't like those?
I still don't like them.
Oh, wow. I eat those like crazy.
Yeah. When you had bags of those on our trip to Missoula, and I was just like, oh, okay, good for you, John.
Well, I'm glad you didn't want to try any.
Do you like oysters?
Yeah.
Do you like Rocky Mountain oysters?
We've had those before. All right. You have to try to tell me what this bratwurst is.
Uh-oh, don't smell it first.
Why not? It's got Swiss cheese in it. I'll tell you that. Hold. That's a little unfair. That must have been a conversion, in between, because I did multiple batches in one stuffer. Eliminate the spice from that.
So it's really hard to just take out the spiciness in there. Is there supposed to be any spiciness to it at all?
No.
Because the spiciness makes me think it's Hatch green chili,
but it's not.
But was at least mixed into it?
No. Something that you're going to try next was what was mixed into it.
If it was for Bratfest,
it is for
and
Bratfest.
You put Swiss in it. Is it Philly?
It is Philly.
Ding ding.
Now, to be honest, that's the only reason I got
unfair.
that is because I knew then the Swiss but
I actually have faith you would have gotten that had that been a clean example of that and not a mixture. All right, on to the next one.
Oh, no.
That just sprayed everywhere.
Everywhere.
So you're not taking a bite.
No, I
on purpose?
already went through it.
Oh boy.
Yep, you gotta start sniffling. You can't do this to me. I get sniffles on podcasts,
so hot.
and I'm going to sniffle the rest of the episode now.
Hot.
You ruined everyone's listening pleasure. Now.
Oh, just did I do it again?
The sniffles.
Oh, I thought you meant I peaked.
Well, no.
No, I'm going to nonstop sniffle for the next hour. It's gonna be so hard not to. It's the Inferno with ghost pepper.
Yes, absolutely. And that ghost pepper cheese, man, that is not to be trifled with in my mind.
I absolutely love that though. The flavor is incredible.
Great. Just be real careful with it. If it's, a nice fall day, great bratwurst. If it's 104 degrees outside, lay it down and choose something else.
Extended forecast for Bratfest is showing 90 degrees and partly cloudy.
Oh, perfect.
It's going to be amazing.
Perfect. Last one.
Just by the looks of it, I might have an idea. I'm not going to be able to taste anything because my taste buds are all burnt out.
It'll cool off. You used to do this when we made this competition too. You used to look on Walton's, and I would like to remind everyone that I didn't.
It's totally fair and acceptable. Wow, my eyes are starting to water.
Hey, this is a clean rag if you want.
That just intensified the heat, by the way.
That's not possible.
I think
There's
it was
no heat in
adding
that.
pressure
Was
on.
like juicy, and it just recoated my
Got
mouth
everything going again. You can have another piece.
Just based on the looks of it, I mean, I'm going to say Supreme Pizza, but I can't tell because I can't taste enough of it.
No Supreme Pizza. That is Bavarian.
Bavarian, okay.
Bavarian. Yep.
I haven't had that one enough, honestly, to identify it.
It's identifiable enough to me that I think I could pick it out no matter what. The seasoning itself, to me, smells like what after I ran a marathon, half marathon, never ran a full marathon. After I ran a half marathon, we got back from Kansas City and I had my shoes, which were soaking wet, in a plastic bag. I opened that plastic bag and the smell of my shoes is exactly what that seasoning smells like to me. It makes a wonderful brat though. Absolutely wonderful. And I almost pick up like a Limburger type of flavor from it. And I'm not a fan of Limburger cheese, but I love that brat.
My sniffles are starting. I can't talk without sniffling. So never really thought that and like compared the two with like a fresh sausage, but with like dry cured sausage, I always tell my wife, because she hasn't ate a lot and she's not really a big fan of it. I'm like, the more it smells like stinky feet, the better it's going to be. For some reason, those smells inside of meat, once you eat them, like it doesn't taste what it smells like.
Yep.
I wish I knew the science behind that, but
one of the most interesting things your brother ever told me was, he's like, that taste you really like with like a dry cured salami of some sort. I was like, yeah. He goes, well, that's the fat putrefaction. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Ever since then, I've been a bigger fan of dry cured sausages. All right. So we have tried everything we're supposed to try, I believe.
Yeah. So 3 flavors that are going to be at Bratfest. If you guys want to try even more, we're going to have 11, maybe 12. I don't know if you caught wind of that, but we upped our number of flavors.
I heard we upped it once. We've upped it again.
Yeah. We added cheeseburger cheddar wurst.
I heard that one because Dylan thinks it'll be good with beef.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we we decided we were making hot dogs for part of the lunch part of things, but we were like, if we're making hot dogs, why aren't we doing samples of hot dogs too?
Fair point.
We'll be sampling hot dogs as well. I mean, just be an all beef standard hot dog.
So it's just hot dog and bologna seasoning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you're doing the red hots or that.
No.
Okay.
The idea there is like for the hot dogs and cheeseburger cheddar wurst, having two things that like kids will like, because we have a ton of activities for kids. Like the idea is to make this an event that like you can come out as a family and spend 3 or 4 hours, eat some food, play some games. Adults can hang out and drink if they want. Kids can go play. And so we're like, that's just, it's going to go over better with kids if we do some of that. So
that makes sense. The one I'm most excited about is the backyard bass fishing game. If you don't think I'm playing that, I'm going to destroy some kids at it.
I'm excited just to see exactly what it is because it sounds like it's so massive. It's not just like a little 10 by 10 area.
He was asking for a huge area to stake off.
I said like a half basketball court. That's how much room they want. So
that might be hard. Maybe I don't want to do it. Maybe I don't want to get embarrassed. I miss and some kid comes right behind me and rings one.
You can just blame it on the pole and the reel.
I was joking.
The line was too thick. The line was too thick for the pole, and the pole was
this guy
out of
from
whack. And
Kansas Wildlife Department who does this for a job doesn't know what he's doing.
The drag on the reel wasn't set right.
Well, it's like the magnetic brake on a bait caster.
Brakes?
I always, anytime I first get new one of those reels, I will cast like 7 feet, 10 feet. Like I am so paranoid about birds' nests that I just slowly up it each time or turn it down each time. I hate birds' nests.
On the inside of my bait cast, I have these little pins and like, it's just like a little plastic thing that clicks in or you can pop it kind of out. No matter where I set them, I can't tell a difference. Do I just have a cheap reel or...
You have plastic things that you can click in. I'm not familiar with that.
It's like 8 of them around in a circle. And I think it's supposed to change how much tension or something is on the reel. So when it's spooling out, like, when you're casting, you don't get as much of a bird's nest potentially.
Yeah.
But
I think you're thinking of gears on a mountain bike chain, right? I'm joking. I don't know why you look at me like
because I don't know, and it's not unusual that I don't know something fishing, but I don't come across it.
So all you change is like the little tiny.
I have a little just a twist on
knob,
the side that I just like tighten or loosen.
Okay, sometime I'll have to take mine apart and show it to you and see if you have any idea what it is.
Well, we're eventually going to take Leo fishing, so
we need to reschedule something there. Yeah,
so we can make that happen.
How big of a fish do you think he could bring in?
Well, the bad news is I have not caught a single large bass this year. I mean, I've caught a few medium-sized ones, but nothing in like the 5 pound.
No, I meant
range.
like if you put Leo on a hook, cast him out. What's he bringing back in?
We're getting a shark. We're definitely getting a shark.
For sure,
with a human. Yes,
that's awesome.
For sure.
Did you want to talk about your life-threatening thing that happened yesterday?
We actually probably should because I canceled tonight's evening live stream for it. I made a post this morning, but for anyone who spends a lot of time with Meatgistics, you probably noticed that I wasn't around for basically any of yesterday. Today's been all trying to catch up and doing other things. But went home, did Travis's podcast, went home, did some stuff with the dogs, turned around, came back, and I'm on Rock Road, which doesn't make sense anyway, but I'm coming up on a stop sign. I'm doing about 40 miles an hour. There's a car in front of me. I hit my brake, start slowing down. All of a sudden, my brake goes all the way to the floor, and like even the brake that I'd already had was gone. Just no brakes. So I pump it a few times, hoping it's just needs that. Nope, not slowing down at all. So luckily, the person in front of me, wasn't messing about. So I just started honking my horn, turned on my blinker. I was able to turn right onto a street, doing about like somewhere between 15 and 20 miles an hour, which doesn't sound fast, but we were taking a sharp right in an old Toyota Tundra. It was fast.
Oh man.
And again, just like I'm pumping the brakes the whole time, nothing is happening. So I was able to get or coast to like another entry to my neighborhood and just kind of take back roads all the way back to my house. But after that, I had Patrick come get me, drop me off at Enterprise where I had a reservation for a rental car. Patrick drops me off. I walk up. They're like, "Oh, are you, so-and-so?" And I'm like, "Yep." It's like, "We just sent a message. We don't actually have a car." So I immediately called Patrick. I'm like, "I need you to come pick me back up." So I get in the car.
I got a stone's throw away. It was funny.
Yeah, but he's like, "It is exactly like the Seinfeld. You don't know what a reservation is." So, but anyways, yeah, it was like the best possible outcome from that happening.
100%.
Nobody got hurt. I didn't cause an accident. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt myself. So while scary, ended very, very well. Very well. The only downside is my mechanic can't look at it until like Monday. So I've got that rental car, which has literally no character. It's a Toyota something small. I can go in through the driver's side door.
Oh, that must be weird.
It's so weird, especially leaving my house like from lunch. I walked up to the passenger side door. Now I had my bag with me, so it really was to put it. But I opened that door and I started to get in. I was like, "No, we don't do that here." For those of you who don't know,
I laughed I saw you leaving work one time and you put your bag in and then I forgot you had to go over. And it was just, there's something so funny about just how simple that optic is. Like just going, okay, like, cause you got in, you shut the door and then you have to do this shuffle. So,
up over the center console.
You just slowly, like, oh my God.
Not slowly. I do it athletically.
Oh, okay.
It's a very athletic movement. Also, I could open the driver's side door, but it's eventually going to fall off. So I'm saving those for when I really need them. Cool. It's only got so many opens left.
Being chased by something, bam, but then that's when it falls off.
Probably.
You got to hedge your bets there and get it on the path.
That's true. And it's most likely.
Well, that's good news. You made it out okay.
So to what extent is this going to push you towards a new vehicle or just fixing what you got?
0%. Well, not 0%. If it's like $2,000 or something, it's just not worth it. But no, I like that truck. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, used cars now apparently are going through the roof is what I hear. So
I joked with John and I'm disappointed that Bike John is not returning. Because John only lives like, what do you live? Like 1.5 miles, 2 miles away?
It's 2 miles.
Yeah. So a bike ride is not that bad, but you rode a bike for quite a long time. I don't know how long it was, but
it's almost 2 years.
You did it long enough that I had almost talked myself into doing it. And then I moved a few years ago and I'm like, oh, not definitely not now.
Right, yeah.
But
I remember I just did it through 2 winters. Yeah. And that was like, those are my favorite days to do it when it just snowed. So I was like, this is danger. And I never hooked up my handle brakes. I would tell everybody that it was to get me into a flow state because it's like dangerous. And I didn't know how to hook up the handbrakes. I didn't want to deal with it.
You rode your bike for, like I said, 2 winters long enough to where my idea of you was so different once you were on the bike and then when you're off of it, because it's just like, oh, this guy rides his bike to work. Yeah. And it's just a whole different vibe. So anytime he would tell me like, oh, you should check out this movie, I was like, yeah, but you ride your bike to work. How can I believe a word you're saying?
No, we did it because we had just bought a new car.
Yeah, the Saab
the Saab is the one that. So I bought a Q3. My wife drove that. I was driving the Saab. Something happened. We switched again temporarily. She gave me the Saab and she's like, hey, it's making a funny noise. I was like, okay. I get in the car, turn it on and tick, 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 coming from the engine. I'm like, how long has it been making this noise? And she's like, oh, just since like last Wednesday or something. I'm like, oh my God. Took it right down to the mechanic and he's like, yeah, no, your engine's blown. I'm like, of course it is.
How did she get it home? I don't get it. That's wild.
Ridiculous. But yeah, no, I wasn't going to buy another car after just buying a house and buying a new car. We were already in more debt than we wanted to be. So,
and it's a great way to stay in shape.
So your watch, we can't figure out how to quiet that, huh?
I still have not figured out how to turn the dang thing off.
Okay. Is it like Apple related? No, you're an Android guy, right?
Yeah. So it's a Garmin. Used to have a Fitbit and had issues with it charging, couldn't get it to charge. So I used to use Garmin all the time when I ran. I'm not running shape anymore. But Garmin has like really stepped up their game lately on like health metrics and stuff there. So I still do a lot with that stuff, and got it 2 weeks now. 3 weeks?
About 2 or 3.
I did enough to set it up so I can get notifications on it. And I haven't really gone through it yet.
On how to not make it.
Yeah. So I get my notifications, but I get a lot of notifications.
You know what they need to do? Here's an amazing, it's not even an app, just a feature on a phone. Set people that you want alerts from when they text you. And just let every other text go. But if any of these people text me, buzz or whatever.
You can do that with like do not disturb mode. Keep your phone in do not disturb mode all the time. And then you can put priority contacts.
Really?
There you go. This happens to me. Dude, I get my mind shattered every day when something that I haven't been doing with
what
technology.
Is do not disturb? What else is do not disturb mode turning off?
You can control what it turns off and what it doesn't at times. Like it by default turns off everything. Okay. There's no noises. You can tell it to like still ring for alarms. Okay. Don't mess with your media volume. Still allow vibration. I set mine so that it doesn't affect media. It doesn't, what else did I say? I don't remember. Whatever. Sure. My brain just like shut down.
It happens.
Great time. But, I have like my wife set, and I think my dad and mom like as an override, like priority contact. And my phone goes into do not disturb at like 8 o'clock at night.
I'm doing that.
So I stop getting like the email ding all the time. I love it. Oh, my wife hates it. She hates it so much that I have to do that because anything dings when it's like time to go to bed, and any lights at all, even just like a little notification light on the phone would drive her nuts. But I figure if my wife is calling or my parents are calling, if I'm going to get bad news that I need to hear about, it's probably from one of them. Yeah. Why I care about the bad news and not the good news, I don't know, but go immediately to the bad news on stuff like that.
No, if I'm getting a call in the middle of the night, I'm assuming it's something bad.
Sure.
Because everyone knows I'm asleep by early. Some kid rang her doorbell the other night at 8:30. I threw on some shorts. I go open the door and he's got like some flyer. And I go, dude, we're sleeping. Just slammed the door on and went back to bed. I'm like, what are you doing? Meanwhile, Brutus is going bananas. And he goes to we have a bench with a window that you can see like our whole front yard. And he's hitting the window as he's going, rough, but it's hitting with his teeth or his nose or something. God, I want that dog. Some idiot drove by the other day and barked at him. He was in the backseat of a black truck. So by chance, if you're listening, you're a moron and come back and try it again. He pulled, I've got like it's got to be in between 12 and 18 inch spike.
That ground spike?
Yeah, that curly cues. That's all the way in. Just him, because Riggins has the halo collar, so I don't hook him up anymore. He pulled it right out of the ground.
That's insane.
I just got it, stepped on it. And he wasn't going to catch the car. But my thought was like, what is your thought process there? A 180-pound dog makes it into the car with you. I mean, maybe one of your buddies has a gun and they live. Like, but he's going to kill you. I don't get the idea.
Yeah, I mean, your dog is like, he's still friendly, but like... he's not like a wolf that's just 1,000% aggressive.
Right. Yeah.
But it's still, he's big enough that it's no longer just like a little house dog play toy thing. No. He's a beast.
It's not even a pit bull. Like people are afraid of pit bulls, whatever. If a pit bull is charging me, I'm going to kick it in the head as it gets close enough.
You can yell at it.
I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're not kicking Brutus in the head. He'll eat that shot all day long and keep coming.
Your dog I watched a top 10 list of most dangerous dog breeds. Yeah. Yours was like 8th.
Yeah.
Like for the world, not for the like. And my fiance almost didn't believe me that I go, John has that dog, and she was just like, sure. And I was like, no. See how tall that is? I go, that's exactly how tall he is. So
was number 1 Doggo Argentino?
I think they just went bulldog, or I'm sorry, pit bull, just because all the
attacks.
Yeah. So
do you know what Doggo Argentino is? Oh, whatever. We'll talk about this. They are like you have to stay clear every day of this dog's life that you're the boss.
What?
It's subordinate. Otherwise, it will get on your bed and not let you sleep in your bed. It's like, no, this is my bed now.
And it probably doesn't mean.
And they're huge. I mean, they're not Brutus's size, but they're like 150, 160 pounds of just like aggression. They're great.
That's cool.
I don't want one. I swear. Okay. Anything else? We'll go on to Meat Matters.
Let's hop in.
No, got one more thing. Sorry. So, we did Will It Barbecue Snake mostly because Travis was like, hey, do barbecue snake before we. So I could tell by the way he was saying that he was hoping we were going to have a very negative experience. So he was super disappointed when he found that we liked it. So kind of talked to him like, what is your, obviously you had a different experience with it. He said his snake that he tried was like this huge, big, fat, whatever. So it was probably a python. Oh. And he said it was like, he compared it to like head cheese or sauce, like the gelatin feel to it. So I'm imagining what happened is snakes have body fat just like any other animal. And when we're talking about wild game body fat, it can be real hit or miss. So he probably got bad body fat or bad quality fat on a snake, and probably someone who had no idea what to do to cook it. So it was very similar to the beaver tail.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah, so, that makes sense.
Made me laugh. All right. On to Meat Matters. Now, I did not look at Tex's article, if it's come out so far this week.
I have not seen one.
I didn't think I saw it. But to be honest, the last 48 hours, I've been on Meatgistics maybe like 3 times.
I screwed up for everyone on Meatgistics' sake. I screwed up my Meatgistics account.
What'd you do?
To put to put the stupid notification post out there. I screwed up everything, and I think honestly, maybe 10 minutes before we came in here, that's when I sat down to look through notes for this, and I had just a few minutes, got on Meatgistics and was looking to see what has happened last couple of days. And I'm like, why didn't I get notifications on these? I thought I had fixed stuff. Went back through. I think I have it back to fixed again. Okay. But so everyone feels better. Like, you're not the only one that has issues with notifications at times. In trying to get the post out there so people know what to do, I nuked everything on mine.
Little behind the scenes, I had a post ready to go telling people kind of how to turn some stuff off. I sent it to Austin. Like, what do you think of this? 10, maybe 15 minutes later, he responded with a post with 10 times the amount of information and explaining, no, do this. Had you already been working on that, or is that all on the fly?
No, but I started responding to your email with we should add this and this, and I'm just like, this is if I'm gonna explain it, I should just take screenshots as I'm going. And then I was just like,
might as well do it.
Whatever. Yeah. I'm here. But yeah,
the number of times I do that with Rachel, where I'm about to send her something, I'm like, the time it would take me to do this versus the time it's going to take me to email her and explain it, it's almost the same thing. Yeah. So if it's not a twice as long thing, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, it just depends. Yeah, it just depends on if it's something that is going to be repetitive or not. If it was something we had to do over and over, I would have, I'd just send it to you.
Yeah.
But it's in theory, hopefully it's a one-time thing.
That's a one-time thing. Yeah. Hopefully. All right. Number 1 from Fox Business, Tyson raises prices of chicken as demand shifts from expensive beef cuts.
I thought chicken was already getting expensive.
Tyson reportedly increased chicken prices by 20%.
So I wish we could get better details on what prices really go up and down, more individualistically, instead of just overall, because I normally buy, I do keep more meat in my office than just Vienna sausages. But okay. I normally buy sliced rotisserie chicken, and keep that in there. Cause, when I'm hungry or I need to eat, or I just want to eat and I'm just sitting there doing nothing, I'm like, if I just eat a lot of chicken, it's not as bad for me. I can eat a whole container of chicken and not feel bad about myself. Sure. So been buying rotisserie chicken over and over and over. It's $3.50 a pound, something like that. I went to go buy more last week and I was like, nope, not buying that anymore. It was up to $7.50 a pound. I was like, you're kidding me. This is, it doubled. It doubled in I last bought some a month and a half or 2 months ago. I buy enough to last me a couple months. And it went up that much in that amount of time. It's crazy.
I don't understand. Insane.
So I'm experimenting. I bought the cheapest lunch meats I could get.
You might come to regret that.
Bar S has a they can't even call it like ham.
Ham-like product.
It's like a ham or pork product with ham or pork and water product.
Okay.
40% of it is not meat. But I was like, it can't be that bad. So it was only like $3 a pound. And I'm like, I'm in, sold. I'm gonna try it. It's delicious.
Is it?
It's
good.
amazing.
Good,
I mean,
good.
it's super juicy. It better be because it's 40% water.
Nah.
But honestly, I don't mind it. Like even when we make stuff here, I'm all about adding extra additives, extra moisture.
Yep.
Get your best brain died again.
Phosphate.
No.
Binder.
No. How best yield out of it that you can. But guys in the commercial world do that to a lot of times make a better product or make more money. But I think it also does and can make a better product. Well, it just makes a cheaper product at times too. But
we've also talked about this in the past with injection levels of chicken. They do it because yes, that is what they can, quote unquote, get away with, and it's easier to sell you water weight than protein weight, but it is also because people tend to overcook chicken like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's going to keep it somewhat juicy. So it's kind of both, I guess.
I don't want to know what my rotisserie chicken is going to be though after another 20% increase.
Yeah, I can't figure out if this has actually hit the market or not yet. When I saw this morning, I did consider running to the grocery store real quick and buying a ton more chicken, but I have a feeling it has already hit.
To be honest, I could see it functioning kind of like the gas market. Gas goes up and down, and they may not have got a refill of what gas they have on site at your gas station.
Doesn't matter.
It's just, it's so much of a commodity that as soon as the price changes up or down, it changes there. And sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. But I imagine chicken could be a similar deal there.
Would gas be considered inelastic? I mean, food is to a good degree inelastic. Like there's no changing it in the short term. So I don't know if gas is technical because
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. We're not economists.
We did, but we talked about that last podcast. We really should see if we can get a meat economist because that would be
specifically meat.
Yeah.
So this is an article from Reuters. It says shrinking U.S. cattle herd signals pain for prices in beef. Now, my only note on this is just listen to me. I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. I did a blog post on it. For those of you who don't know, Walton's has a blog that I do once or twice a week. The last couple ones were about droughts and how that's going to affect the beef prices. What was the one before that? I don't know what the one before that was, but the one after it was all about Bratfest. So you can go to waltons.com and check that out. But this is exactly what it sounds like. There's going to be less cattle going to market over the next few years. So expect insane prices. And Travis and I talked about this on the podcast yesterday too. He was very interested in that for some reason. I'm anxiously awaiting your father's response to that podcast because it didn't rant really. I mean, I ranted, but it was mostly about meat stuff. So I'm interested.
So on the ground beef front, it's one of those things that like, I know I could afford it, but it's almost like I refuse to do it. I went to buy ground beef the other day and I have been going to Walnut Valley, but I lost track of what day it was. And it was Sunday afternoon. Pulled up to Walnut Valley and I'm like, kind of looks closed in there. And I'm like, I finally realized it is closed. It's Sunday. Yep. They're not there. So I was like, fine. Well, I already had stuff planned for dinner, so had to go get beef. Went to just Dillon's and was going to buy ground beef. And I normally get like, if it's going in something, I get something that's like 90-10. I don't want a ton of fat in it because I'm going to cook it and you're going to end up with grease in the pan. I don't want that. I just want to be able to cook it, put it all in there. I was like, nope, I'm not buying the 90-10. It's too expensive. I bought, I don't know if it was 80-20 or 73-27. I just bought.
What color was the package? Was it yellow? like yellowish orange. Do you remember?
I think it was just white styrofoam.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't
You bought
like,
it
it wasn't a
Gotcha.
chub.
You didn't buy the chub. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those, yeah, I don't know. Whatever I bought was like the cheapest they had, but it was on sale because I was going to get one of the chubs. Normally I get the chubs if I just want like a pound of meat to put in a spaghetti sauce or something. But for whatever reason, the stuff in the styrofoam was on sale. So
yeah, my dogs are not getting ground beef in their food like zero anymore. It took them a while to get over that. There's a lot of looking at their food and looking at me like, where is the good stuff? But it's just too expensive now.
yeah.
Absolutely insane. It's only getting worse. I'm going to have to stop telling them to not tell me what the total is at the grocery store. That's how bad this is getting. Next one is steaks off the table. Inflation-wary shoppers are switching to chicken. So this kind of ties into the first article as well. This is going to drive up the price of chicken even more. As there's more demand for it, there will be price increases.
I'm doing my part. I'm not buying a single thing at the grocery store.
How do you
What are you
eat?
doing then?
Fast food.
You should be fatter.
Oh, yeah, big time. Oh, dude, I complain about there's nothing like healthy around here to just kind of like grab and go. I don't think such thing exists as grab and go and healthy in the same sentence. So, or at least for
Chipotle?
Yeah.
Chipotle's pretty healthy.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But 11, 12, 13 bucks.
Right, yeah, it's not cheap.
But no, I'm not fat every day. Thank God my fiance knows how to cook. But
There you go.
yeah, it is one of those.
That makes sense.
I see chicken at the grocery store or whatever, and I go, nope, not for me. It wasn't before, and it's certainly not now. So
Do either of you eat at Chipotle often?
often, yeah.
Like once a year.
I don't know when it changed, but I haven't ate there in a while. But the steak burrito used to cost like basically the same as like the chicken. It was a little bit different, but now it's like it's over $10.
Yeah.
It was like
That's what he was just saying, 11, 13.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like they knew something with chicken was coming, so they created it's also chicken, but pollo asado, so they chicken with extra flavor. So I feel like steak cost went up on them, and they wanted to give another alternative, so they didn't have to buy as much steaks. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how business works, guys. I just I run the thing back here. So.
But yeah, so I was thinking maybe we need to do a few more like chicken-based sausage how-tos.
Yeah.
If people are going to be switching more to chicken, it might not be a bad idea. Because chicken does make good sausage.
It
I like
does.
chicken
Yeah.
sausage.
I used to eat a ton of chicken sausage.
Yeah.
That was my go-to.
Let's do the best seasonings to make with chicken sausage, because that way we can hit more than
Multiple.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because some do lend them flavor a lot better to chicken, like you're saying.
I gave Rachel something to look into in her free time a couple of weeks ago. And she found an article on SEO that said Google is not liking it anymore if it's like phrased as it's going to be an instruction or a recipe. And every one of ours, the first part is like a quick introduction and then it goes right into what is. She's like, yeah, Google hates that now.
What?
So I have her taking
That's what they used to love that.
They used to love it.
That's so stupid.
And moving them. So she's going through all of them right now and moving them to the bottom. So whatever, just an extra little thing there. Next one is OSU research aimed at extending meat's sellable shelf life. So I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but just because meat has started to lose its bright red color doesn't necessarily mean it's gone, going, or spoiling. It's just a chemical reaction. So the OSU Meat Lab is testing putting in small iron pouches in packaging with beef to keep it from going brown. As when meat starts to turn color, it loses value. Whether it's starting to go bad or not, these pouches are basically oxygen absorbers. The U.S. beef industry loses $3 billion annually to discoloration.
Oh, no.
In other research, OSU Meat Quality Associate Professor Rajanth Ramathan and colleagues are trying to determine if there are electrochemical factors that might play into the discoloration of beef, pork, and chicken. I found it interesting that we don't have that 100% nailed down.
Well, what I got from that was that instead of informing the public, they go, we'll just invent a whole new thing because they're not listening.
So much easier.
Yeah.
No. What they're doing, so much easier than trying to inform the public.
I agree, because then you tell people the information and they're just going to go, well, they're lying to us, man.
100%.
Why do they want us to buy the...
Where'd you hear that? OSU?
Yeah.
No way, Alabama's the best.
Yeah, no kid. Yeah, of course you got it from that. Where that? What conference are they in now?
I have no. What are they in?
That just goes to show you the world we live in now.
Yep.
Back when I grew up, there was the Big 12, Pac-10, Big 10.
It's all gone.
It's all gone.
It's all gone. At least Notre Dame's still independent.
Thank God.
That's all that really matters.
For how
They're
long?
going to stay.
I don't know.
They will.
Did you hear the coach recently was talking about? He goes, "Well, if we had to, we would pick one." And
Sure.
I was just like, "But
If you had to.
but no one's
But
ever
you
even
don't
said that
have
on
to.
record. What an elixir for what the inevitable future, So
Like I can't follow the news like I used to because I get too angry
mad.
over stuff's going on. So like I am heavily invested in conference realignment right now. Like
That's your big thing?
the K-State sports off season right now. There's been so much. This has been the busiest year for K-State off season.
Okay.
So that coupled with all the conference realignment stuff, that has been my life, like non-work life.
That's good.
The past like 3 months.
That's awesome.
I don't know. There's a lot of convincing arguments out there as to what Notre Dame is going to do besides staying independent. I think there's a really strong chance they could like kind of join a conference.
Well, that's kind of what they've done with the ACC.
Tighter than that.
football's
Not disregard all the other sports. Football, join a conference.
Yeah. Well, the other sports
That's
have joined
what
a
they've kind of
conference,
done with.
But
They've played an ACC schedule the last 2 seasons.
good point. The alignment's there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what
Just
we
keep
stand,
it exactly how it is.
But what we stand to lose a lot
It's
of money.
ridiculous.
A lot of money because when you go to these conference games,
Yep.
the whole conference makes
Yes,
money.
yep.
Now, if we're the only team in said conference,
We take
we
all of it.
take all of it.
Yep. So there's
that's
no
what-
reason to join a conference.
I'm on your side, John.
If they don't ever win another, I would prefer they stay independent and never win a national championship.
Let's
Yeah.
backpedal that. I don't know. I love.
All right.
I mean, you want the consistency and the tradition. I'm just like, come on, let's get one in my lifetime. I was born in 1991. Their last
Oh,
win
wow.
was like 1989. So
88,
89.
yeah.
So let's
okay.
do it.
That makes sense then.
And,
That
and
makes
some of
sense
my
then.
favorite years are the Jimmy Clausen years. So if you can imagine,
Oh,
extrapolate.
why were those favorite years of yours?
Him, Golden Tate, Michael Floyd, right on the heel. Like and right before that, you had
Yeah, it was bad for a long time. Yeah,
so,
you're right.
Oh, dude.
You're
But
right.
then when hold on. That was the year that they said his freshman year, Clausen's is last thing we'll talk about this and get moving on to meat. But he said Charlie White's had to break it down like by like week 3, we lost once or twice. He goes, we're going back to scouting reports. Like he stripped out his entire team just to redo training camp. That's the word I'm looking for. He goes, we're going back to training camp. I was like, and season's over. So.
And we're done here. Do you know what happens with recalls?
In what regards?
Meat. Like what happens to the meat when it's recalled?
Oh, it gets disposed of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do anything with it.
So there was just a ridiculous amount of meat recalled from Danny's Sub and Pizza, not because anything was wrong with it. It just didn't benefit from inspection. Either the inspector wasn't there or wasn't doing anything. So they recalled all that meat and it is in a landfill.
That sucks. Can we have people sign waivers
Right.
and say, I'd accept this?
Because I will definitely take it. 100%.
Well, I'm thinking, okay, sorry, John, but forget you. But like,
You're
there's
thinking like the needy.
yeah, like there's a lot of people out there that really need food. Give it to a food bank and make sure that like it gets, or give it to a commercial kitchen somewhere that's going to prepare it in a way that you're like, okay, we're going to kill anything that's in here.
With the money I don't spend on meat, I will buy more gold and ammo. That's good for the economy. It's good for the economy. All right. Then from the Cleveland Clinic, they had an article. It was really the headline of this that caught my attention more than anything else because I've never heard of any dangers of eating organ meat. So they had the benefits and dangers of eating it. So just real quick, organ meats are generally high in like heme iron, which is easiest to absorb. For example, chicken liver has 10.2 milligrams of heme iron per 4 ounce and beef has 2.6. So even a chicken organ liver will have more per ounce than beef muscle. So just interesting. They also have a lot of B vitamins, B6, B12. They're high in protein. I mean, it says that, but they're the same as muscle, basically. They have alpha lipoic acids, which helps protect the mitochondria and makes it easier to convert nutrients into energy. Nope. Okay. I have a little side note here that says, does Patrick say powerhouse of the cell after I say mitochondria?
Yeah, I've said that.
But you didn't say it this time.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention well enough.
No good. No good.
Powerhouse of the
Then you have fat soluble A, D, E, and K. So a fat soluble vitamin is going to absorb into your body better because it will become soluble in fat and then get ingested. Whereas if it's water soluble, it's probably going to get flushed the next time you go to the bathroom. So dangers. The only ones that they had was mad cow disease and possibly other prion disease. So, I mean, just don't eat the brain and the spinal column. That's fairly well known. If you're eating like things like lamb brains, you're taking a risk. Like eating brains is a risk.
Didn't you put brains on the Willet barbecue list?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm nixing that one. Like,
but it's
not eating it.
These are good brains.
This is what he sounded when we pitched the idea in the first place.
We still did it. All right. Then too much A and iron. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Fatty liver disease, but it didn't seem like it was any good amount of research on that. And possibly bladder cancer. Maybe. It was the most like maybe possibly could have something to do with bladder cancer article I've ever read. So I would say it's mostly just good for you. All right. Then we've got something I found really interesting. We talk about them a lot, and I feel bad because I feel like Tyson is the most known of the big four. So they take a lot of punches when it should go to the entire industry. But this is interesting. And I kind of am on Tyson's side again a little bit here. Tyson's food is not complying with the subpoena for a civil probe into price gouging. So this was done in the Southern District of New York. And for those of you who are familiar with the law system at all will know if you want to put forward a somewhat spurious lawsuit, the Southern District of New York is the place to do it. But Letitia James asked a state judge in Manhattan to make Tyson turn over materials like contractual terms, prices, and profit margins for the meat sales to New York retailers between December 2019 and April 2022. James says Tyson, one of the largest U.S. meat producers, stopped complying after giving limited information based on the company's argument that the New York's price gouging law didn't apply to meat products bought in or brought in from out of state. And I kind of agree with that. Like, hey,
yeah,
this is not your product, and we didn't make this in your state. We're not giving you any information on it.
That, and I mean, if there's, we've talked about and seen like the lawsuits that have come against the big four for collusion and whatnot. But like, if you want to allege things like that, you still have to have proof, and you don't get to say, well, I think you did this, and then you give me the proof for it. You have to go find proof. You have to find it on your own. It's not
the way our law system works anymore, though.
Yeah.
It's just, everything is just trying to get to discovery. And then, okay, well, I'm going to push this forward to discovery. It's, there's a big lawsuit going to discovery right now with the New York Times. It's just like, yeah, I think they probably were doing some shady stuff, but you are supposed to show proof earlier in the whatever. What's the word?
Sorry to
process. There we go.
Did you see the there's a guy that has the most lawsuits of all time filed with over 40,000.
That's the guy from prison?
I think so. But
yeah,
then
he's in prison.
And he got a Guinness record, and then he sued Guinness.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. All right, we're going to leave the next story chronologically. I'll come back to that at the bottom. That is the one that we'll end on. So McDonald's, last month, is a mere 6 months after launch, they quietly ended its brief underwhelming experiment for the McPlant. This is from the article. It says it was a big product market fit error. The McPlant's most likely buyers might be vegans and vegetarians, or at the very least, people who are conscious of the environmental footprint or sympathetic to the animal welfare issues big fake meat promised to solve. But those folks probably didn't want to give their hard-earned money to a business founded on processing and selling animal flesh as cheaply and inefficiently as possible. So clearly the author of this article has got a huge slant, but he is right. No, if you're trying to reach vegans and vegetarians, you're not going to do it through McDonald's.
I agree. Let's take the salads out of all the fast food places too. What a joke.
They're worse for you than the burgers.
They're terrible. Well,
every time.
They just suck, and they have all this sugar in them and stuff. And
Every time.
But anyways, yeah, I'm with. I didn't try the McPlant or whatever, but I'm glad it McDied.
A lot of it, I think, is just it's a fad that people are just willing to bet on that it becomes bigger. Because if it does, and you're one of the first ones, you are going to make a killing. And so it's
food Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, it's breaking the story first too. It's like why all the sports writers go, as first broken by Ian Rappaport or whatever. So.
True. Yeah. How much publicity does McDonald's get over just having a McPlant burger? People that don't even care about it, they're going to go be like, oh, I kind of want McDonald's for lunch today. They're going to go buy McDonald's and get whatever else.
I mean, I've talked about it before. For 15 years, anytime I saw a McDonald's commercial, I almost instantly went out and bought a double quarter pounder with cheese.
Well, I've been in line at McDonald's and I've almost ordered the burger we're talking about because I just thought it was just a new burger. So I wonder what percentage of people didn't even know they were eating like a Beyond Meat.
Oh, didn't know it was
It
not
doesn't
meat.
advertise it well. Like they use a little subtle green in some of the letters and stuff like that. But then the real fine print probably has the made from X, Y, and Z. But yeah, there's almost been a couple. I go, oh, what is this? Because I often, anytime I'm in the drive-thru, I'm like, what's new? What do I got to try?
Yeah.
And that was up there. And I go, what's the, never mind. I know about this.
So in the article, I don't have any notes on anything, but it also did bring up the fact that like a problem for it was also that it had regular like American cheese. It had the regular mayo on it, and it was their normal bun, which is loaded with just all sorts of terrible chemicals.
They also, I understand it reading the article, but from past stories I've read, they cooked on the same like surfaces, same utensils, and legit vegans are like, no, we can't do that.
So I'm somewhat sensitive to that for one reason. If my wife eats anything that was cooked on the same grill as like a mushroom, she is going to get sick. So like I'm somewhat sensitive to that. But in essence, unless you're allergic to meat, just shut up. I don't complain when I have to pick some sort of meat out of my salad. Like I don't get mad at the lettuce that's in there. I just eat the meat.
Who gets angry when you get an onion ring in your French fries or a French fry in your onion rings? When you have that accidental mistake of you get something else in it, I'm excited.
I saw did you see a meme the other day that was saying something? Okay, so I saw a meme something. I would get angry because I'm going to view it as one less French fry replaced by something I don't want. And I do not want that onion ring.
Sounds like I went to Applebee's not too terribly long ago, and I go, I don't want fries. I go, give me onion rings. And they go, okay, cool, bring it up. It's an upcharge, by the way.
Sure.
It's like an extra $1.50. Like what? It's so minimal. Don't even put it on the menu. You know what I mean? Because you're just deterring me from even wanting to live life. And they bring 5 onion rings.
Were they big at least? They're average size.
Well, especially on the like next to just like a burger, and then you just have a white plate and then 5. And there's a lot of space. You know what I mean? So it's just I go, excuse me, kid, I never do this. But
go get me more onion rings.
I'm like, is this standard? Like, do you guys count out 5? She goes, yeah, we do 5. I go, okay, that's not cool. Manager overheard. She brought me 5 more, and I was like, oh, you guys are getting halfway there. That's kind of cool. So, but they made a little bit of a
They tried.
They tried to make it right, but
gave it the old college try. Then the next one is another Beyond Meat story, and we're really hammering them today, not intentionally. But Beyond Meat is being sued by a former co-packer. So somebody who made their product for them. That's what a co-packer means. Who says they grossly overstate the protein content of their meat. And not meat, sorry, of their food. So he says at least they're lying about the amount of protein that's in a Beyond Burger.
That's interesting. I mean,
that made me happy to read.
Yeah.
I liked that. And they're also putting chemicals in it that they say they don't.
Does anyone ever go validate any of that information? Like it's not, I'm assuming that even though there's like the USDA and the FDA, I assume, as far as I know, they don't like go test buy stuff.
Pull stuff off shelves.
Yeah, and go see what's actually is in there.
I have to imagine it does happen. The one thing I can't believe I'm talking about Seinfeld twice in one episode because I hate that show. But when he's talking about Diet Coke, he's like, how do you know it has just 1 calorie? It's like, what if you get the 1 can that has all the calories and the rest of them have none?
Oh, geez.
It's the same thing. Like nobody's validating any of this. It's just like, oh yeah, here's our recipe. Here's our formula. This is what's in it. That's the nutritional value.
Oh, that's a good point. Because there was even a show I was watching recently. It was on Hulu's, that one with Michael Keaton. And it was about drugs, but the way that they manipulated a chart to make it appear as though there wasn't a lot of something, addiction. What I mean? So exactly. So then the way that we could read ingredients, so to speak, could you think you're just getting one thing? I mean, meanwhile, it's just manipulated beyond belief, and no one's even checking it out, anyways.
So I used to eat or drink, a ridiculous number of like the drink mixes.
Yeah. That
said that they were sugar free and whatever. And my wife's like, it constantly on me. She's like, you should not be drinking so many of those. And I'm like, whatever. I'm getting my water. And she's like, that's no longer water. I'm like, yes, it is. And then one day it just hit me. It's like, just because it's not sugar doesn't mean it's not doing the same thing my body as sugar's doing. And as soon as I stopped drinking those, I felt so much better and started coming back down in weight. So, yep, just because it's not like the name brand that you're associating with it being bad doesn't mean it's not still bad.
So, related, but not related. Did you know there was kosher McDonald's?
Really?
Yeah, I had to look it up as we were kind of talking about that. Do you want to guess how many and where? I don't know.
I want to guess where.
I think I know where, but yeah.
I'm going to guess Queens.
Oh, wow.
And somewhere in Florida.
I mean, I can really only confirm one location.
Where?
Israel.
Oh, God. I was only thinking the U.S. Of course it's Israel.
I mean, but there might be more in the States or something, but I just typed in kosher McDonald's and I just get Israel stories and stuff. Okay. So yeah, definitely. I had no clue though. I didn't even think about it.
Real quick, one thing we forgot to do. There was a new plant that opened 6 months ago. It's Diamond Seafood Service in Atchison, Kansas. They sell both meat and produce, plus some other things. I saw some ice cream on their Facebook page. They do bundles so people can buy in bulk, and it'll last a few weeks depending on how many people you have in your family. State inspected for both beef and pork, and they source their produce locally as well. Seems like a cool place. They seem to have a pretty good interaction with their Facebook following, but we may have a new game from this. So I have a list of all the new plants, right? That they give us the location on. You get to quiz me on where that town is when it's in Kansas. Because I have no idea where anything is in Kansas. Like I know Benton, Derby, Wichita, and Medicine Lodge, because I saw it on a map once and I'm like, oh, that's a cool name.
Does Derby count?
What do you mean? Is it too close to Wichita?
I mean, it's like a suburb. Like you kind of knew that. All right. That's like saying you knew Hayesville. I know Hayesville.
I don't know where Hayesville is.
I mean, it's a constant city connection, basically, from Wichita to Derby. There's not like you don't have to like drive out in the country through things. It's like Wichita, Derby right there.
You know what's funny though? When you're in Derby, they remind you that you are in Derby though, with signs on every other street corner.
Yep.
Derby. And they're different colors. They did the same thing with Hayesville.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever been in Hayesville. But I'm going to guess on Atchison. I'm going to say it's somewhere southwest of us. Oh, okay. So you guys don't know either.
Oh, dude.
If somebody would have jumped right in.
I need to know like exactly where it is.
I figured if I was...
Disclaimer, I am the opposite of Magellan. So I never know where I'm at. Some of my friends, they'd come over to my house, the house I grew up in, and they couldn't tell you, like once we got to my room, they couldn't tell you which direction the street was.
Real quick, Magellan didn't actually make it, right?
I mean, but he was probably more privy to what was going on.
Just
he could probably read.
I knew a fact about Magellan I wanted to share.
Oh, please. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, the guy that makes the t-shirts, he didn't make it. But yeah, so my sense of direction is just off by sitting in my room growing up.
Austin can't even find a city he knows
it doesn't
around Atchison, say where it is. Just zoom out.
Oh, I know where it is.
Oh, so I said southwest.
No, not at all. You're total opposite end of the state. Very far northeast side. I was looking at like distance and kind of finger measuring.
Oh, it's basically Nebraska?
Yep.
Nebraska, Missouri. Like one county away. It's on the Kansas Missouri line, but like halfway
squiggly.
Halfway from I-70 up to Nebraska. It's basically right in the middle. It looks like I'm saying like 45 miles north of I-70.
I don't like this game anymore. Only like games where I win. Okay. If we continue this, I'm going to get a lot of them wrong.
Perfect.
All right. Last story before we get into my rant. There is a restaurateur who lives in Florida now, Evan Darnell. He refers to himself as the Secretary of Steak. They created a national group that calls itself the Red Meat Lovers Club. Darnell came up with the idea of the club as a lark while at Tulane, a playful response to the college's SAVE, Students Advocating Vegetarian Eating Club. And obviously, I'm immediately in love with this idea. They are doing a big fundraiser in Nashville, and all of the proceeds are going to the Javon Curse Foundation.
Sweet.
I figured Patrick would like that. Patrick's a big Titans fan.
What day are they going? They're probably going to check a game out.
No, I think it's pretty soon.
Yeah, they're probably going to check a game out preseason week 1 or it's tomorrow.
Nobody watches preseason.
Well, I'm just saying in a few weeks, the regular season will start.
I made a poor life decision.
You ate the rest of it. Oh, no, you just ate more of it.
I ate more, and I got a very solid piece of something in there that just lit me on fire again.
Yeah, it is. I probably got like a chunk of the ghost pepper cheese.
It's so good, though.
It is good.
Inferno with ghost pepper cheese.
It is good.
I'm going to eat it even though it's painful.
All right. Last story. This is from Eat This, Not That, who I use from time to time. I have obviously some problems with them, but it's interesting to read their opinions. It says, it's so ridiculous. Just before we even start, I've already emailed them telling them they need to take this article down, and they really do because it's unbelievably misleading. It says red meat heart health study. The headline is red meat is worse than we thought for your health. From the article, it says this study had a large sample size and was conducted over many years, which increases the usability of the results. It says Molly Hembre, MSRD-LD, and member of the medical expert board. Now, she's not the author of this, so I don't necessarily have a bone to pick with her. But I read the study. Basically, it's saying that metabolites that are released in the body when digesting red meat, they contain high amounts of L-carnitin. That hit me right away because I take L-carnitin up in a pill form intentionally the night before I'm going to do a heavy leg day. Like, so am I taking something that's really going to harm me? Well, it's also important for brain function and liver function. And the reason I take it is it improves muscle performance up to 20-something hours after it's ingested. So the studies, again, relies on one of those terrible questionnaires. And it was basically people of 70 and older. It was like 68% women. But halfway through the study, right? Whether TMAO, which is the L-carnitin precursor, and related metabolites derived from L-carnitin may help explain the effects of red meat intake on cardiovascular risk and to what extent they may contribute to cardiovascular risk associated with meat consumption are still unknown. So you wrote an entire article about how it's causing inflammation, it's causing cardiovascular disease, when in the article, they not only say that right there, where it's still unknown, but it also says the study had several limitations that may have affected its results. The study was observational, meaning it could not control for all risk factors for cardiovascular disease, which might come in handy when we're talking about 70-year-olds, just saying, and may not prove cause and effect between meat consumption and cardiovascular disease of its medication by gut microbe-generated chemicals. Additionally, food consumption was self-reported, so errors in reporting were possible. And as most of the study participants were older white men and women in the United States, the findings may not apply to all populations that are younger and more racially diverse. It is a garbage article. At the very least, it needs to change the headline to something way less incendiary. Way less. Read it out loud.
Yeah. I mean, the title's "Red Meat is even worse for your heart than we thought," says new study.
That is not what the study says.
But everything in there, even if they make a claim on something, they say, well, it's still unknown.
Saying
there's not enough to truly link something.
We have no cause and effect here. We cannot prove that. I really feel like we just need to throw out all of these. Keep a food journal thing. You've seen, Patrick, weren't we talking about it the other day? The lady who they ask her how many calories they think she ate at the end of the day. And she's like, well, I had a cup of yogurt for breakfast. I had a plain chicken breast for lunch and for dinner or something. She's like, probably like 1,100. And they were filming her all day. They're like, you had 4,000 calories today.
Shut
And
up.
she was shocked. They're like, every time you walked by the kitchen, you grabbed a handful of chips and, snacked on it, ate on it. People are unreliable when asked what they ate.
Oh,
Their brain is not going to remember the bad things they did.
I had to make when I was younger, in like middle school, it turned out I just had acid reflux for like a week. My doctor made me write down like everything I had and stuff like that. And until you have to put pen to paper, you're sitting there like, what did I have? And every time, you're just like, you don't know because you're just one of those snackers. Or even if you intermittent fast, I guarantee those people are overindulging at night just because of the mentality. And eating right before bed is one of the worst things possible. So
I'm in somewhat the food industry. And if you asked me what I ate at the end of it, I'd be at best 50% accurate.
Yeah.
At best.
And I'm trying to,
I'm never weighing a steak. It's never like, I had 4 ounces of steak. I said, I ate all of the steak. I gave my dog a little bit of the fat on the side and I ate the rest.
But even like as humans now, without calories associated with it, unless you're talking about like sweets and intense sugars, like you kind of know if you overindulge that day or if you under, because then the next day you hit it a 10% more maybe with food, or you go, I'll go have this for lunch because yesterday I deprived myself for a couple hours. But then you realize to what you need in a day. I don't know. It depends on if you're working out a lot and stuff like that and what your job is and stuff, but it's not as much as you think it is.
Absolutely. Sure. But we're never going to get a correction on this because I also looked up a bunch of other articles this lady has written. One of them was 4 foods high in protein. Beef is nowhere on there. Literally everything that she lists, beef, pork, chicken, all of those are higher on the list than what she lists.
So she's just coming up with, she just goes, yeah.
Then another one, worst way to eat eggs. What do you think it was?
Cooking them, probably.
Well,
Scramble's the worst way to eat them, probably.
No.
I don't know.
Any guesses?
Raw is not.
With bacon and eggs.
Oh, geez.
What?
Yeah. Is that a dad joke? What the hell?
No.
Is that?
No. This person just hates meat
Yeah.
and wants to get it in every
I think a lot
second
of times articles like this are just written from somebody with a biased perspective that want to push their agenda on other people. But to be honest, if you wrote an article like this, you would have a bias in it. Your bias would just be different. But
well, hold on. It would be, I think for every joking thing he would say, he would have a giant, like the nitrate thing with like celery compared to a piece of, he would come at it with that.
Facts and science.
That you can't even disprove.
Yep.
And then she hasn't had a single thing.
She would end up saying there's just as much iron in, I don't know why. Is it when I imitate women that I do an annoying voice? I thought it was just my wife.
Yeah.
I thought it was just my wife. Anyways, she'd probably say something like there's just as much iron in the same amount of spinach as there is in beef. It's like, yeah, you can't absorb any of that. Like you're going to.
And then she'd go, wow, I hadn't
die
heard that.
of.
She'd now go, wow, you're right. I didn't think of it like that.
No, she wouldn't. Last one. And this is bad news for Austin. It is news about the worst things to do for dementia.
Oh, God.
What do you think is a bad additive to food? It's, if you were looking for the article, it's right.
Oh, it's got to be
there. It says, Austin, right in front of it.
Salt,
yeah.
It's salt. It's those who add salt to their food are putting themselves at risk for dementia.
Add salt.
Well, that's not good because I have dementia in the family and I eat a lot of salt. So
We might need to fix that.
It might be the other way around.
Get rid of all the salt
You
shakers.
guys only have dementia in your family because you eat so much salt. Could be.
well, I don't know.
All right, that was a great way to end it.
We're not in danger in my house because we under-season everything. So
Intentionally or just
no, growing up, my parents.
okay.
We're from Kansas.
did not use much?
Yeah,
Gotcha. All right, anything else, guys?
that's
Nope.
All right, that's it. We will see you guys next time.
Thanks for checking out the Meatgistics podcast. To shop everything but the meat, head on over to waltonsinc.com. And to get your meat processing questions answered by experts and enthusiasts alike, head on over to our online community at meatgistics.com. Waltons, everything but the meat.